Hey guys, so today it is currently 65 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm again in my car. I'm still doing the schooling thing. It's very draining, but before I address responses from the Instagram poll, which I'll address starting tomorrow, I wanted to talk about INFJs and one-sided friendships. I think, again, this can apply to other types. It's not just INFJs that have one-sided friendships. But specifically with INFJs, there's, certain things that happen, or some certain things that I've observed from being an INFJ and also being in one-sided friendships. So at this very moment, I don't really think I have any one-sided friendships. All of my friends that I still keep in touch with from college and high school and back from Seattle and stuff, I don't think of those people as like being one-sided. But I have been in situations where I've given more to the relationship than the other person. And I think this particularly happens to INFJs because, just like I've said in the INFJ door slam a while back, a few months ago when I made that video, is people tend to see INFJs as emotional sponges, or they just kind of will take advantage of their kindness and their soft-spoken nature. Or they'll just see, INFJs as weak because the typical INFJ, especially less developed INFJs, are a lot more meek and shy, and for all intents and purposes, INFJs can be easily taken advantage of. But what people don't realize about INFJs versus maybe some other types that are empathetic is INFJs are pretty aware of people's motivations, and in fact, maybe the most hyper-aware of others' motivations. And they also have this other side to them, especially depending on Enneagram. I've had some people talk about Enneagram. I do know about Enneagram, and I haven't talked about it, and I will talk about it in the future. But depending on your Enneagram, you can also have like an added side that's even more intensified than maybe an INFJ that is pushed. For example, if you have like 8, I believe, I might be wrong about this because I can see myself being a 4, but I don't think I am a 4. I believe that I'm a 9 wing 8, and if you know anything about Enneagram, 9s are very mellow and calm and balanced, and then the wing 8 is like, 8s are very intense. They're kind of like the opposite of 9 in a way. They're both out of the body portion of the Enneagram, because Enneagram is split up into 3 parts: the mind, the heart, and the body. But anyways, not to get on Enneagram, but there's like this other side that can come out that's a lot more assertive and a lot more forceful. And I think regardless of what your Enneagram is, INFJs do have this side to them, because the reverse of their cognitive function, so typically if we're thinking in MBTI terms, INFJs are NI, introverted intuition, FE, extroverted feeling, as their second function. Their tertiary or third function is introverted thinking, TI, and their final function, their fourth function, is extroverted sensing, SE. If you flip that around, that's an ESTP. And INFJs will never be ESTPs, but in moments they can have qualities of an ESTP. And I think in these instances, just like in the door slam and just in one-sided friendships, that ESTP quality comes out. And what I mean is, when INFJs realize that a one-sided friendship is occurring and they're pushed and pushed and pushed, if they don't door slam that person, they're going to react in kind of, and this is less developed INFJs, by the way, they may react in a very shocking sort of way. There's a stereotype, or like, maybe not a stereotype, but if we're thinking about like superheroes, INFJs are said to be the Incredible Hulk. And I think that's actually a pretty good metaphor or analogy for INFJs, is they have this very calm presence, but when they're pushed or something, or they snap, they turn into this explosive character. And again, this is more undeveloped or less developed INFJs. They have like this ESTP quality that will come out if they're pushed. And I've definitely been there. I've definitely, I think a lot of people would be surprised, and I haven't done this with everybody, but I have definitely been on the opposite side where I do turn into this Hulk-like character. Maybe not to the same extent, but it's not something that happens maybe when you think about the Hulk, where it's like, just flips really easily. It's something that happens gradually. So with one-sided friendships, when people are taking an advantage of you and they're constantly, using you, or they just don't put the same kind of value into the friendship as you do. So for example, maybe they're not like the worst people in the world, but whenever you're planning something, or like whenever you want to hang out with someone, it's like you have to initiate the hangout or the get together rather than the other person. The other person just doesn't ever put in that effort. And it's different from people that are maybe less assertive, or that's kind of, maybe they're more shy or something, and so that's why they don't initiate. It's the people that initiate with other people, but when it comes to you, they just expect that. And it's not just a one-sided thing in this case, because if you continue to allow people to act like that, it's just the same thing as taking responsibility. That may not be your fault, that they're mistreating you, but you have to realize that at the end of the day, you can't control someone else. So are you going to let this one-sided friendship happen? Just keep on happening and you're feeling drained, you're feeling unappreciated, or are you going to break it off in some way? And this is where that Hulk quality can come in. There's different levels of one-sided friendships. It's not just, the one that just will let you make the plans. It can be, in many ways, just when there's a huge imbalance in a friendship. And even to the extent where the other person doesn't even really think of you as a friend. And you have to realize that. So you know, I've had times, so for example, there was a girl that I was friends with, I think I have said this briefly, a few years ago, and I really looked up to her. She was one of those people that when I first met her, she didn't like me for some reason. It was not even anything I did. It was just, you know, that feeling you first get when you meet someone and they just automatically don't like you. And regardless, we were involved in like basically everything together, like the same organizations. We ran the same organization. We were in Model UN together. We, you know, had similar friends. You know, we would hang out sometimes outside of school, but we were always together anyways because we also had the same job. That I began to realize, you know, I regarded her, I think, a lot higher than she regarded me, going back to the fact that she didn't like me from the start. She may have grown to like me in some ways, but there was this little bit of her that just, you know, didn't like me for no reason. When I say no reason, there probably was a reason, but it wasn't the way I treated her or something like that. It was just something on her. And I know I have a feeling of what it is, but I'm not going to speculate in this video. But anyways, I realized over the course of the year, and in fact I actually told my sister this, you know, I predicted a lot of things that were going to happen that year, to the extent that my sister thought I was psychic. But really, it was just patterns that I saw, and it's just like any other INFJ or even INTJ, which she just happened to be an INTJ. You can see patterns that maybe other people miss or aren't thinking of at first. So it makes it even more, you know, it's kind of funny because with one-sided friendships, like I said about INFJs specifically, we can see those patterns, we can realize people's intentions pretty early on, yet, you know, we kind of continue this one-sided friendship. And that's why I say it's kind of your fault, and not your fault, but it's your responsibility to get out of that in an appropriate way. You don't want to explode like the Hulk. You don't want to be vindictive or something like that. I've definitely had spiteful moments, and in fact sometimes I like being spiteful or petty, and not in a like direct way, but more in the sense of like being successful. I think that's like my favorite type of spitefulness or pettiness, which I don't know if you would even consider that. But anyways, with that girl, you know, I looked up to her. I really regarded her very highly, and I realized no matter what I did, she just somewhere in her heart or mind or both just couldn't shake, you know, certain things that she just inherently didn't like about me. So, and it wasn't really a personality thing, because typically I do, like INTJs, it's typically a back and forth thing. And you know, it wasn't like an extreme thing, but towards the end, I really realized that, yes, this person's just kind of using me because I introduced her to a lot of different things. I mean, she did with me as well, but it was a little bit imbalanced on my side of what, you know, the opportunities that I introduced her to. But I'm not taking ownership of that in the sense that, oh, that's the only reason she got those opportunities. She's very smart, very capable, and people like her. But I did realize that I was taken advantage of in certain ways. And, you know, with that, what really kind of was the nail in the coffin for that situation is, I'm not going to go into it, but there were certain things that happened where it was just very clear that she really, you know, not even wasn't my friend, but she just was kind of doing things to worsen my life in some ways. And maybe that wasn't her intent. Maybe she didn't even care. I wouldn't be surprised because she is an INTJ. And this isn't like a dig to INTJs, but because I love INTJs, but it's just a mentality. It's the extroverted thinking mixed with NI. Anyways, I saw the writing on the wall in that situation, and I just kind of had to, you know, I acted very cold towards her afterwards as we were making that transition. And once she graduated and was out of the way, you know, of our university, I just kind of lost touch with her, you know, unfriended her, unfollowed her, all of those things. And I'm not saying that we won't ever reconnect. I don't know if we will or not. I don't think she's a horrible person, but at least at that time, she wasn't the right friend for me, and I definitely wasn't perfect in that friendship either, but I definitely realized that I cared a lot more for her than she cared for me. So anyways, I have to go, but hopefully this video made sense. And for any of you who are going through one-sided friendships, the advice that I would give is keep a cool head, keep a calm head, and if it's an easier friendship to get away from, you know, do it in a way that's not as hurtful. Like, if you need to unfriend them from Facebook or any social media, do so. If you need to distance yourself, do that. You know, I don't think it's ever good advice to intentionally engage in conflict, but sometimes it does happen, and you just have to realize that at the end of the day, everybody has their prerogatives, everybody has their, you know, things they're looking for in life, and not everybody's going to like you. It's just the way it is. No matter what your personality is, not everybody's going to like you. And there's a lot of people, well, maybe not a lot, but a good amount of people that don't like me in my personal life. Most people that are in my personal life do, but there are some people that don't. And that's just the way every human being is. And if everybody likes you, you're doing something wrong, or you're just being kind of a shell of a human being. And maybe I don't mean to say that in a mean way. I think that was actually kind of blunt, but you know, sometimes it's good to be controversial in some way, because that means that you're doing something right if you're doing positive things. But yeah, I don't know if that was inspirational or whatever, or even helpful at all, but I hope you guys are having a phenomenal day, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.